What's up, Taiwan? I'm Reece Ayers with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's cabinet has unveiled its more than $12 billion economic package to provide relief from potential US tariffs and strengthen the economy as a whole.
会影响到台湾未来的，不仅仅是只有美国的对等关税、贸易的政策改变而已，还有就是全球贸易秩序会重整。 而且会影响到整体的国际情势，因此政府更必须做好全面的准备。
Nearly $3 billion is allocated for tariff relief, a more than 5% increase from earlier plans. The remaining funds are slated for 10 other key areas, including the defense and agricultural sectors. Nearly a quarter of the package would go to the national power utility, Taipower, which has seen more than $12 billion in losses in recent years. The package will now be sent to the opposition-controlled legislature for approval, but some opposition lawmakers have already come out against it.
我们的行政院，我不晓得他们脑袋里面在装什么东西啊！去年超增的，再加上今年被在野党，在我们严格的监督把关下面省下来的2076亿。 加起来刚好4100亿，全部把它包在一个特别条例里面，然后骗台湾人民说这要因应高关税。
The ruling Democratic Progressive Party will need the support of at least 6 opposition lawmakers to pass the package. Taiwan's Labour Minister says more than 100,000 jobs are at risk if Donald Trump's new tariffs come into force. Industries across the country are bracing for the worst, but the government says it is working on a multi-billion-dollar package to help soften the blow. John Van Trieste reports.
Made in Taiwan. This trade show in Taipei is showcasing the best of the country's auto industry, from traditional auto parts to smart electric vehicles. But while there's plenty of action here, there's a shadow hanging over the event. U.S. President Donald Trump's unpredictable tariff policy. Many of these products go into cars sold in the U.S., and tariffs could bite hard.
我们汽车零配件整体的出口值达到2285亿台币，所以可以说是一个非常重要的产业。当然，我们的业者呢会全力的来应变。
The uncertainty over tariffs has led to 2 reactions in the auto parts industry.
有些厂商是急于出货，但是有些厂商还是观望的态度。欧一厂供应链的话，它必须及时上工，它零件必须马上去到。
And auto parts are just one of the many export-reliant Taiwan industries bracing for a hit. Labor Minister Hong Son-han says machinery, plastics, and even sink taps and other plumbing equipment stand to suffer a particular blow. He says over 100,000 jobs are at risk. But the government says it has a plan. The cabinet aims to set aside almost $12.6 billion to help firms get through the rough times that might be ahead. The government is also negotiating with Washington. There's talk of more Taiwanese imports of U.S. goods. And then there's one of the jewels in Taiwan's economic crown, semiconductor giant TSMC. The firm said in March it was going to invest a further $100 billion into the United States, where it's already opening plants in Arizona. The economy minister has told lawmakers that this is just one of the bargaining chips Taiwan holds.
我们现在手上有什么筹码？你刚才讲的这个部分，我们也可以列入这个筹码考虑之一啦，哈。但是我们筹码有很多，报告委员，我们不是只有一个筹码，哈，请你相信政府。
As the details of Taiwan's response come together, the country's exporters must wait and see on the true extent of the tariff impact and of any government assistance. Eason Pan and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
A government survey has found strong public support for tighter rules on exchanges between China and Taiwan. The poll by the Mainland Affairs Council, which handles relations with China, asked over 1,000 people questions about cross-strait ties. Almost 3/4 of people said they believe China's attempts to infiltrate Taiwan are getting more serious. Over 70% agreed that officials traveling to China must get permission from the government beforehand. A little under 70% agreed the government should revoke residence permits for Chinese spouses in Taiwan who support China taking Taiwan by force, and over 80% said they disagree with Beijing's view that Taiwan is part of China and has never been a country. The survey comes as Taiwan tightens several rules to combat growing Chinese infiltration, including revoking the household registration of Taiwanese people with Chinese IDs. A new poll says almost 90% of people in Taiwan would be in favor of physician-assisted death in certain circumstances.
反映出台湾多数的民众都害怕生不如死的一个情境，愿意接受善终自主，对于尊严死的态度呢，就趋于开放。
National Taiwan University surveyed more than 3,000 people. Nearly 90% said euthanasia should be allowed in the case of a terminally ill patient whose pain could not be relieved. More than half also supported physician-assisted death for incurable conditions or severe cognitive impairment. The report also noted that medical professionals do not support euthanasia under any circumstances. In response to the survey, the Health Ministry said Taiwan is first in Asia for palliative care and the rights and autonomy of patients are protected by law. Washington says its patience with Ukraine is growing thin, repeating threats the US may be about to give up on trying to forge a peace deal in Europe. But Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says the US's proposal would go against his country's constitution. A Russia-Ukraine peace deal is ready to go, but there's one man standing in its way, says Washington. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
I think we have a deal with Russia. We have to get a deal with Zelensky, and I hope that Zelensky, I thought it might be easier to deal with Zelensky. So far, it's been harder.
US threats to abandon peace brokering between Kyiv and Moscow are growing. This week, top US officials pulled out of a London meeting on the issue. Now Washington says its patience is growing thin, as the Ukrainian president apparently drags his feet on the deal.
But you need both sides of the war willing to do that. And unfortunately, President Zelensky seems to be moving in the wrong direction.
But what's in this peace deal exactly? The US-crafted proposal explicitly bans Ukraine from joining NATO, a key concern for Russian President Vladimir Putin. It also calls on Kyiv to cede much of the land it's already lost, including Crimea, annexed by Russia in 2014. But for Zelensky, that's just not an option.
Ukraine does not legally recognize the occupation of Crimea. There's nothing to talk about. It is outside our constitution. This is our territory, the territory of the people of Ukraine.
Just last night, the streets of Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, were filled with sirens and explosions, as missiles and drone strikes killed at least 9 people and injured dozens more. Despite Russia's full-scale invasion being deep into its 3rd year, the people in this city remain defiant.
Crimea is certainly a part of Ukraine, and it's not up to any discussion. We do not need peace at this price. Boys have been dying for more than 10 years, and we cannot betray them.
There will be another country to mediate. The United States is not the only option.
While Trump says he has no favorites in this fight,
I have no favorites.
The terms of the deal do seem to favor Russia, but the side that the US is really backing may just be itself.
The US just wants any deal, and that it doesn't matter whether it's a good deal for Ukraine or a good deal for Russia. They want to be able to show that they are a broker and maybe a power player.
Zelensky, now in South Africa for more diplomatic outreach, says that Ukraine is ready to talk with Russia when a ceasefire is agreed. But whether Washington will be there too remains an uncomfortable uncertainty. Scott Huang and Reece for TaiwanPlus. A former US Army analyst has been sentenced to 7 years in prison for spying for China. 25-year-old Corbin Schultz pled guilty last August to selling classified US military data to a person he was believed affiliated with the Chinese government. The information involved US military capabilities and plans for defending Taiwan, including lessons learned from Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In exchange, US federal prosecutors said that Scholz accepted bribes of around $42,000. Over 200 people were injured when a magnitude 6.2 earthquake struck western Turkey, one of the most powerful in recent years. Turkey's disaster agency says the earthquake's epicenter was 80 kilometers west of Istanbul. The quake sent people rushing out of buildings and into parks as dozens of aftershocks continued to shake the region. There have been no reported deaths or major damage. India has downgraded diplomatic ties with Pakistan after an attack in the disputed Kashmir region left 26 people dead. New Delhi expelled its neighbour's defence advisors and pulled some of its own diplomats from Pakistan. India also suspended a decades-old agreement that allowed the two countries to share water from the Indus River system. On Wednesday, a militant group attacked tourists in Kashmir's Pahalgam area, killing and injuring dozens. India's foreign minister linked the attack to Pakistan. To learn more about the attack in Kashmir and India's response, our reporter Adil Bra spoke to Sushant Sareen, a senior fellow at Observer Research Foundation in New Delhi.
What have you learned about the militant attack in Kashmir's Pahalgam area?
The latest reports which are coming out is that around 5 terrorists were involved. 2 of them were local Kashmiris who are linked to Pakistan-based terrorist organizations like the Lashkar-e-Taiba. The other 3 were Pakistani terrorists who have been operating in the Kashmir region of India for some time. It's the sheer horror of the killings has kind of snapped a nerve. People are furious. There is a lot of anger.
As part of its response to the attack, India has suspended the Indus Water Treaty, which is a crucial water-sharing agreement between the two countries. What are the implications of this move?
I think the first steps have been mostly political and diplomatic. We have put the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance, which is a significant step. How much impact it will have on Pakistan in the immediate, there's a bit of a question mark on it. I think, that's the issue with water, that you can't, until and unless you have structures to impound water or to divert water supplies into another country, there is no way you can do it. So yes, at least in principle, this decision has been announced.
Will India retaliate further in the coming days?
Well, I think the past events like Pulwama did create a sort of a template on what are the kind of retaliatory measures that will be taken. But I don't think the covert measures will satisfy public opinion. And now, which means that we are going to be entering into dangerous territory from here on with that kinetic measures. So everything is literally hanging by a wire right now.
That was Sushant Sareen of Observer Research Foundation. Environmental officials are defending the killing of a troublesome Formosan black bear in eastern Taiwan. The bear had repeatedly attacked livestock and pets in an indigenous village in Hualien County. A team sent to capture the animal shot it when they found it attacking a dog and turned aggressively towards them. It was later put down due to the severity of its wounds. Formosan black bears are endemic to Taiwan. Although their numbers are on the rise, the species remains protected. The incident has prompted calls for better animal management strategies. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, here's a portrait of Pope Francis made of grains from an artist from Kosovo. I'm Reece. Take care and see you next time.
I'm Tiffany Wong in Georgetown, Penang, and you're watching Taiwan Plus.